How can one random request change your entire life? Stay tuned and find out.
Welcome. Okay, here's the question. You serious? How are we dark horses? You know, the ones everyone is betting against, the ones they don't expect to win, place, or even show on the track, and they'll even laugh on us when we talk about trying. How do we show the world our greatness and triumph? Come on. Well, that's the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. Let's go. This is The Dark Horse Entrepreneur. My name is Tracy Brinkman. And push it up.
What is up? What is up? What the hell is up, my Dark Horse friends and family? Welcome back to your weekly dose of trashy radio learning. I'm your Dark Horse host, Tracy Brinkman, and you, well, that, my friend, is infinitely more important. You are a driven entrepreneur, or one in the making. Either way, you're here because you're ready to start, restart, kickstart, and just start leveling up with great marketing, personal, or business tips and results in order to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it absolutely deserves to be. And man, do I have an awesome episode for you today. Man, Steve Phillips is going to be sharing so much about this amazing entrepreneurial journey he's been on through his life, from struggling in school to becoming a mechanic, getting to work in NASCAR, becoming a trash man and a DJ, and so much more. Plus, I'm going to let you in a little sneak peek on next week's interview episode guest, who has made it to the top 10 in the People's Choice Podcast Awards. Yeah, right? Now, as per usual, the Dark Horse Corrals are chock full of personal, business, and marketing gold spilling from every corner of the Dark Horse Entrepreneur HQ. So let's get to the starting gates and go. All right, Stephen, welcome to the Dark Horse Entrepreneur, brother.
Hey, man, I'm glad to be here. I guarantee it's an honor to be on a big famous star show like this. Golly, I feel like I've made it finally.
Well, I don't know about famous and star, but I certainly appreciate the kind words. Right. And I have to tell you, I was doing a little research in a couple of the stations you were on down there, and I saw one was up there. Oh gosh, was it Hiawassee?
Hiawassee, yes.
Hiawassee, and then the other one, the FM station, isn't it down there just a little north of Columbus, Georgia?
He's actually got 7 different stations that he owns.
Oh my goodness!
But I go out on 2 different ones.
Sweet.
Batten Communications is the radio, the guy that owns the place, and I've been doing it 9 years. I've been on the morning dish 9 years on Lake 97.7 and 95.1. So it's been a journey, and I've not ever had any kind of radio training whatsoever. I just fell into being the show host. Actually, it all started. I'm a musician. Well, I say I'm a musician. I don't do too good. You know, a lot of people that made a lot of money out of it. I've never done nothing but just lose money. So I guess I am a true musician. But we were actually promoting a show we were doing for a lady, and she wanted me to go with her to help promote it because she was scared to get on the radio. And so I went in there. We done the interview, and after it's over with, I got an email from the station owner and said, you know, the guy that's hosting the morning dish right now is wanting to do something else. Would you be interested in taking over the show? And I said, man, I have never done radio in my life. I've never done radio. And he said, come try it. Just set in for a couple of weeks, see what you think. And that's been a little over 9 years running, and 2 Gabby Awards for Personality of the Year for the state of Georgia.
Nice. So what is it that made him gravitate towards you? Was it just your personality? Maybe that awesome voice you got? I don't know.
I don't know. I think I'm just cheap, man. I think that's the whole 9 yards. Ain't that the way it goes?
I can get this guy for $4.50 an hour.
Yeah, I've always got along with everybody and never had any problem talking, and I think that's more the reason he does it. And you know, a lot of people come on the show. My show is a fun show. That's what it's all about. We laugh at everybody. We laugh at ourselves, and it's just a fun time. And so I think that's what he likes more than anything. You know, after we got started, he come to me. He said, Stephen, I'd like for the show to be more serious and more news oriented. What do you think? And I said, well, if you want that, you're going to have to get somebody else because it ain't in me. I can't do that.
Right.
And so then during the conversation we were talking, he said, well, you know, I find myself listening to your show more than any other, you know, station shows that he's got. And I said, well, that ought to tell you something right there. So it's, we do Nielsen ratings for the radio, and actually for 5 years running, my station and my show has been number 1 for 5 years running in the area that it covers, which is
nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty proud of that. But Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. But like I said, I've never done radio in my life. I've done about everything else, but I've never done radio in my life.
So give us a little synopsis of Stephen Phillips and what he did before, being a failure as a musician and stumbling upon this opportunity that you're in nowadays.
Well, I've come from a small town, and I failed the 6th grade. I guess that was my start. But even further than that, the first day I ever walked into kindergarten, I got a whipping. Back then, used to wear you out.
Yeah, they did.
And, so anyway, I went to kindergarten, my first day of kindergarten. And of course, back then you didn't have air conditioning like you do now. So they had the windows up, and outside the windows was the playground. And so the teacher said, okay, we're all going to go to the playground. Everybody line up. Well, I didn't have time for that. I just shot out the window, and went to the playground. So well, that was the first day of kindergarten. I mean, I love her to death. She passed away not long ago. She always gave me a hard time about that. But from that. But I struggled in school, and I guess I don't know. I was dyslexic, and nobody really understood that back when I was a kid. When I was actually a senior in high school, before they figured out, or my aunt actually the one figured out, man, you're dyslexic. I think it helps me in the radio. And from that, I was actually a part-time mechanic as a kid, because my daddy always had us working on old junk cars. And so I mechanic there for a while, and got married young, which was good. I've been married 34 years, got 3 kids. And,
congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I had a stint working with a trick racing engines for a while, which took me to a lot of the NASCAR tracks for the ARCA races. That was very interesting. That was pretty cool. And so from that, I got into, and I don't know if I should say this or not, people might hate me, but anyway, from that, I got into repossessing cars. I repossessed cars for a while. And that was probably the funnest thing I've ever done, because it's like a license to steal,
There's probably there's someone out there right now going, I knew I recognized that voice.
It is. No, it's kind of neat, and I didn't have some of the cars you had to pick up, they give you a paper, which, TV blows it out of the water. It's nothing like that. I mean, it's nothing like that, but they had cars, they'd say, do not make contact with owner, which means you had to steal it. So we'd always try to get it in the Walmart parking lot or something instead of the house and that kind of stuff. But the other ones, we'd always just knock on the door, and the people would be glad to give it to you. Like, man, please take this thing off my hands. I'm sick of it. Yeah.
Take it, please. I'm tired of the phone calls.
Yeah. And then from that, I got into selling cars. I'd actually buy some of these repossessed cars that we'd repo and fix them up and resell them, that kind of stuff, and end up in the car business. And from that, I actually kind of got slow, and it's a hard business, man. Used cars is a hard business. And so then I bought a sanitation company, residential sanitation company, and I still own it today. I've owned it for like 19 years, and it's called Benny Sanitation. We run 2 different counties, and I've got about 4 employees that run trucks and a couple of secretaries. So that's been good. So that gives me opportunity to support my habit, which is music and the radio, I guess. And but the radio takes most of my time. My music is Stephen Phillips and Midnight Express, and I've got to meet a lot of cool people with that. I mean, with the out on the road and opening for different acts, and we opened for Lee Greenwood, which I don't know if you know Lee Greenwood or not, but I know everybody knows God Bless the USA. I know you've heard that.
Yep.
And cool guy. He actually helped us unload our stuff off our truck. I'm like, man, what are you doing? You're like the star of the whole show, and you're out here unloading our truck. And he said, man, I don't do that stuff no more. He said, I'm just one of y'all. So he's a cool guy.
Nice.
And Edmund McCain, he was a cool dude. We've done some stuff with him. Paul Thorne is my favorite. I don't know if you're familiar with Paul Thorne. I always talk about him. He's from Tupelo, Mississippi, and we're good friends. But if you ever get a chance, if y'all listening to see Paul Thorne, you need to see Paul Thorne live. He's got some good music, and he is a great guy. And
nice.
But anyway, I got into radio, and I really didn't start the interviews till about a little over, I guess, probably a year and a half ago. I started doing the interviews. And the first interview I had was with a guy by the name of Gary Chapman. He's a singer-songwriter. He's a Christian artist, and everybody knows him by Amy Grant's ex-husband. He was married to Amy Grant, which is married to Vince Gill now. Mm-hmm. And so me and him become friends, and he's helped me out a lot with different interviews and stuff. But I told him one time, I said, man, you're the only guy I know that's got Vince Gill for a husband-in-law. But,
there's a number of jokes that we could travel down on that one, right?
That's right. Gary, he's okay with that. He's a cool guy. Gary's a cool guy.
Right on.
But in the music, I got tied in with with the Waymore Outlaws, which was I never got to meet Waylon Jennings, and he was kind of my music hero back in the day,
Oh, he was badass.
Yeah, he is. I never got to know him, but he passed away, and then they started a Waymore Outlaws, which was like a tribute thing to Waylon, and they actually used Waylon's band. That's Jigger Bridges and Richie Albright and Fred Newell. Richie just passed away not long ago, so I'm good friends with them, and that's been good. That's opened up a lot of doors. And
sweet.
Yeah, Lord, yeah, man, it's been great. There's some cool guys, and like I said, Richie Albright was a drummer from probably in the mid 60s with Waylon Jennings, and then Jigger come on, I think 79 or something like that. And then Barney Robertson and his wife, Carter Robertson, she was a backup singer for both Waylon and Jesse Coulter from 75 or 76. So they were there with the whole outlaw years, with all the big stuff when Waylon was really on the top of his game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool stuff. Yep.
That's crazy. And that's quite a path you've traveled. I mean, mechanic and doing trick racing engines. I bet the NASCAR was kind of a cool scene to check out for a while.
Back in the day, man, of course, now everything has got security guards here and this, that, and other. We would actually work for the ARCA series, which was the one before NASCAR, but the race was like the day before the NASCAR race. So we were all in the shops together. We were all in the garages together. And so I got to hang out, just like, Richard Petty, super guy. And my dad we went down to Speed Week at Daytona. That's the big deal, and we was trying to sell engines, and we had a couple of cars in the race. And my dad went with me, and he told Richard Petty, he said, my father thinks they ain't nothing like you, Richard Petty. You're like his idol when it comes to racing. And the next day, Richard Petty tracked my daddy down and brought him a hat signed to my papa and give to him. And I just thought that was cool. He remembered my daddy the next day and brought him that hat. And of course, I wish they had the hat today, but papa wore that thing out. He was proud of it. So, but back then racing was racing. I don't keep up with NASCAR much anymore. I mean, since the, Tony Stewart and Dale Earnhardt and all them kind of went away, and it changed all the rules. And
and I think a lot of the corporate sponsorships that get in there and just kind of, infect it. I know my early days in Coca-Cola, one of the first marketing campaigns I got to work on was the Coca-Cola NASCAR family, which I thought was really cool because we're talking the 90s, so things were still kind of cool. Down the Earnhardt family was still, top of the game. It was before his unfortunate accident, but it was a lot of fun. You got to go to a few of the events and do some behind the scene things, and the guys are they just like to drive, man. They like to do that, and they just get paid for it, which was kind of cool. But you're right. I think over time, it's just kind of changed. I know I didn't have a true appreciation from it for it originally until I met a friend of mine who was into racing, and not just NASCAR racing, but race car driving. And so we were watching some of the races, and he was explaining to me some of the nuances of the driving that they were doing. And I'm like, okay, now that I know it, it makes a whole lot more sense. And it became a whole lot more interesting to watch them even on just the oval tracks.
Well, the fun thing about it is, like we're down there in the pits, and like the NASCAR guys, we got to stay for the NASCAR race, and they'd have a wreck or a skin or something went on, and the guy with the camera would come up and say, what happened? He'd say, oh, I got a little loose in the third turn, and it went sideways, and it was a close call. And then the camera go off, and he'd walk away, and he'd say, that son of a gun spun me out. I'm gonna whoop his hind end. You get to here. So it got pretty intense, with the racing. Yeah, it got pretty intense in the racing, of course, I'm a big Bill Elliott fan because he's from this area, He don't live just over the hill. But it's back in the day, it was racing, but now it seems like they've got money involved. Money runs everything. I'm sorry, it does.
It does. Let's be honest, right? Not to pull any punches. I get it.
Yeah.
So you bought a sanitation company. What kind of prompted that?
Well, I had the car business, and it was hard work, and it was kind of slowing down. And the car business, anybody that's in the car business knows, you think, okay, I'm going to quit this. And then you'll sell a car, you'll make a little bit of money. You think, no, I'm going to give it another whirl. So this local man here had a little sanitation service, and he said, he come into me, he said, look, I think I'm going to sell this thing. And it wasn't about 600 or 700 customers. He said, are you interested? And I said, well, I guess it'd be something to, kind of fill the gaps. And so when I bought it, it just exploded because I can't say no. Somebody call up wanting service, I'd give them service. So it's grown into 2 counties and 4 drivers, and it's been really good. I actually had the commercial end of it where the dumpsters, like at the at the stores and stuff. I growed into that, and I guess the good Lord just watches out for fools and idiots. But right before there was a big company come in and bought another garbage service here that was pretty big with the commercial dumpsters. And they were hitting me pretty hard. And right before that big crunch back when everybody lost everything,
right?
They said, look, we're going to buy you out. And I said, you ain't going to buy me out. And they showed me the check that they were wanting to give me. And I said, well, yeah, maybe you will buy me out. Yeah.
Maybe you could buy
this
me
is
out. Working
out pretty good. Come on in. We're going to have supper. Sit down and eat with us.
That's right. Let's break some bread. Let's have a beer, whatever.
Yeah. But anyway, that worked out good because that hit right in the crunch. So that kind of held me over, when everybody was losing everything. And I didn't have anything to begin with, but I got to keep what I did have, how that goes.
Right.
So that worked out pretty good for us. But yeah, I've been doing that. 19 years, and it's been good to me. It really has.
Nice. Yeah, sometimes it's those simple services, those everyone's like, okay, what can I do to earn money? And no one says, I'm going to start a garbage service.
Right.
But it's something everybody needs, right?
Yep,
you
absolutely.
Put your shit in the can, you put your can outside, and somebody picks it up and you get to forget about it.
Well, it's something that everybody needs, and it's something that is always going to be there. And, I can take the garbage off cheaper than you can. I mean, time you load up your stuff, drive all the way to the dump and empty it out or wherever you have to go.
Right.
I come right to your house for about $5 or $6 a week and pick up your trash. I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's been really good. If you don't mind being a garbage man, the trashiest guy in town. That's what I tell everybody. You're talking the trashiest guy in town. We're actually satisfaction guaranteed. Our motto is satisfaction guaranteed or double your garbage back. So.
You'll bring him 2 loads back.
Yeah,
right?
We'll bring it back too. There's a couple of them I'd like to take back too, man.
I love that.
It's funny. We got a lot of retirees here, and they keep their time by our garbage trucks. And if they're supposed to be there at 12 o'clock and it's 12:01, they're calling the office. Hey, they ain't picked up my trash yet. Yeah.
And they probably know them by the first name too. Right? Hey, John, where's John at? He should have been here 15 minutes ago.
I'm telling you, man, I told the guys that drive for them, they're good guys. The guy that drives for me are really good guys, but they've gained about 50 pounds since they worked for me because all these people give them cookies and they leave stuff out for them and Coca-Colas, they take care of them and they come in there and I'm like, y'all gonna have to quit. Y'all can't even get in and out of the truck the way it is,
I think that's a Southern thing because I remember when I lived down in the Atlanta area, I lived up there by Woodstock, just about 30 miles north of Atlanta.
I know Woodstock.
There was a period of time, and I'm going to jump back there. I moved out to Woodstock when there was probably about 2,500 people that lived there, right? So back in the early 90s, and then it just blew up. Right. They put the mall in, everything just started going crazy. And it got to a point where it's like, I was ready to buy a house and I wanted to save up the money for the down payment. And rather than just like, put a little bit and make it wait 2 years or whatever it was going to take, I took a job throwing papers for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Right.
You get up at 2:30 in the morning, you go down to the little place down there, you fold the papers, you put them in the car, you chuck, cash a check. And what was really cool about it and was where this leads in is come about Thanksgiving and Christmas time, there were a number of customers that they would put cookies or, homemade cookies or the fruit baskets or something in their mailbox so that when you went to go put their newspaper in their AGC little box right there, you'd have to take the cookies out. I thought that was the coolest thing ever because they'd never met me. They just knew somebody came by and gave them paper and they were giving you gifts. And I'm like, this is nowhere else on the planet had I ever had that happen. And my dad was in his service, so I lived everywhere. Now, I'm sure there's a number of neighborhoods that do those kind of things, but I think in the South, it's more the norm.
It's a Southern hospitality. I guarantee it. Now, where did you live in Woodstock?
I lived just off the interstate freeway there. Where they built that little shopping center with the movie theater. probably about 2 minutes in off the freeway. I lived just back behind that. I could see it from my house.
Yeah. My uncle actually had a house right there behind the depot, a big 3-story house. They sold it. Of course, it's gone now. You know, they put the amphitheater there. Have you been there since they had the amphitheater put in?
I have not. I haven't been there in a number of years yet.
Wow, it's great. I've actually got to play there a couple of times. We opened for Love and Theft, and I can't remember who all those 2 or 3 different groups we opened for down there at the amphitheater. But now Woodstock is huge now. Yeah. That's Woodstock, Georgia. And I'll never forget the first time we ever played Woodstock. We're in a little town, and my drummer's like, "We're playing Woodstock? Oh my God, we're playing Woodstock!" And I'm like, "Dude, this is not New York.
This is not
Woodstock, Georgia."
Yeah. Let's be clear here.
That is so funny.
It is a cool little place, and to your point, I think there's something different about Southern hospitality versus some of the others. I know I now live up in Wisconsin, and we chose to live off the beaten path. So we're outside, again, probably about 45 minutes north of Milwaukee. So, you know, the town that's right next to us has 5,000 people, and the town on the other side has 4,000. Very rural area, and everyone's super friendly, but it's still not the South. You know what I mean?
Right. You ain't got that twang. You got to have the twang.
There ain't no twang, right? Yeah. I feel you.
You know, it's funny you talk about that. I got a guy that I've met and we've become friends. His name's Christopher Martini. His brother was Max Martini, which is a big actor out in California. And his stepdad was the actor that played Angel Martin on the Rockford Files. You remember Angel Martin?
I do remember Angel. Yeah, absolutely.
Stuart Martin. Anyway, we got to be friends, and I hooked him up with another guy that I know that's in the movies here in this area. And he come down about 3 weeks ago to do a music video in Georgia. And so I talked to him yesterday, and he said, "I have never been to a place that's been so friendly." He said, "They shut the streets down. They brought the cops out to help us. They brought the fire department out to help us. There were people giving us food." He said, "I have told everybody in New York," he lives in New York City. He said, "I am out of here. And if you want to make a movie, go to Georgia."
Go to Georgia.
Yeah. He said, "I'm trying my best to talk my wife into," because, you know, he's a pretty big deal, you know, making movies and stuff. He's got several stuff out, and his brother and this, that, and other. But he said, it beat all I ever saw. He said, "You know, up here in New York," he said, "you can rent a place to shoot a movie and they'll time you. And if you go over the time," he said, "they charge you extra." He said, "If it's a minute," he said, "they're wanting more money." And he said, "You know, yeah." So, yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's a different mentality. I know I visited, I've got some friends actually that live up just across the GWB there, the George Washington Bridge on the New Jersey side. And the missus owns a physical therapy, actually a couple of physical therapy locations there on the island of Manhattan. Right. And it's a completely different mentality, right? Mm-hmm. There's, it's hard to describe. You have to be there, and the energy of the city is different, right? You go into Atlanta, right, and you feel warmth and welcome, right? And here's one of the greatest things for anybody who's never been to the Atlanta area: if you ask for directions, most directions are going to involve the Big Chicken.
Yeah, you ain't lying about that now.
Right? Okay, you go down to the Big Chicken and you hang a left. You're going to go 5 miles, and then you're going to see the old dog and the stump, and you're going to make a right. It took me a little while to get used to that.
Yeah. Well, they always say, you know where Maud used to live at, there on the corner, you know. Right. Turn right there where Maud was at, and then go out to Otis's old place, and you'll see his old tractor sitting out there. But that's a daggum truth now. I ain't kidding. You know, I've lived here. Hiawassee is actually where I live at. You were trying to pronounce it, but I've lived here my whole life. I've never moved. I grew up right here in Hiawassee, and I actually lived in my grandparents' house that we remodeled it, but after they passed away. And Hiawassee's a neat place. It's a neat place to see. We've got the highest mountain in the state of Georgia is here, called Brasstown Ball. And if you're wondering where Hiawassee's at, I always tell everybody it's at the end of the Appalachian Trail. So, you know, the Appalachian Trail starts up north, and it ends right here right here where we're at in Union County, actually, Trey Mountain, where it ends at. So, but we're in the Blue Ridge Mountains. There's a beautiful lake in the valley, and we're 2 hours away from Atlanta, Chattanooga, Asheville, and all. And so a lot of people come here. We have a lot of people fly in here, and because we got an airport in Union County, and John Travolta is here all the time. He comes in. We got the Brasstown Valley Resort, and I never got to meet him. Seemed like a real cool guy, but if they have a lot of weddings over there, and if they're having a wedding while he's there, he always crashes the wedding, you know. So
right on.
That's pretty cool to have a wedding and have John Travolta walk
I know.
in.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah. But Yeah, it's pretty cool. But now he's not the only one. There's football players and baseball players, and anybody you can think of. The president for Delta actually retired here. He's got a house on the lake, so
Nice.
it's a cool place. Yeah, it's a cool place.
It's cool.
Then I got my little show going on, the Morning Dish, and they all listen to me. That's crazy to have all these doctors and lawyers and people of education listen to the garbage man every morning for an hour.
It's the trashiest guy in Georgia. So let's go to tell me about your show. I mean, what kind of topics do you cover? Is it all about, I know you talked about, hey, they wanted you to go news, but you're like, nah, it's not going to work. Talk about the show for me.
We do nothing but politics and religion. That's all we talk about. Politics and religion. No, I'm just kidding.
So you argue the whole time now.
No, I kind of stay off religion. I tell them I get my religion mixed up. I thought Hail Mary was Hail Mary instead of Hail Mary, so I kind of stay away from all that. But
that's a good call.
I'm a Baptist, and the only reason I guess I'm a Baptist because in my theory they eat the best of any religion out there. Man, it's fried chicken and covered dish, so I'm sticking with the food. You know what I'm saying?
Just follow your nose kind of religion.
Yeah, there you go. But anyway, I just we just talk about the topics of the day. Just the fun stuff. We just have a lot of fun with whatever's going on, and I don't really talk about politics all that much. If I do, it's something we're making fun of. But there's just so much stuff going on, it's not even funny, and so we just kind of touch on that and just laugh and make fun of course, one of the things, being dyslexic, we do a thing called the word of the day.
You're now listening to the Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast.
And my co-host Sherry Raines always gives me a word, and I try to pronounce it. Now, I don't know if you know anything about being dyslexic, but the words make no sense. I mean, just the pronunciation just don't register with me. So, and then if anybody gets it, they win $100 or something, so it's pretty, it's a lot of fun. People like that. Fun. But, yeah, we just talk about, every morning, I don't really plan for it all that much. I just kind of look and see what's going on in the world, and crazy news that's happening. But, there's a lot. That's the thing about it, man. There's so much serious stuff going on that is just beyond belief. And that's all anybody talks about. And we don't. We just we stay off of that, and we laugh at people. And I mean, we had this one, I always try to find these brides to be that, because they're always them that's just hard to get along with. But she'd sent out a thing that she didn't want her sister-in-law's boyfriend or husband to come to the wedding because he's too short and would ruin the wedding photos. And I mean, that's just something to me. And I'm kind of short, so I guess I'd be left out of the wedding. But, this silly stuff like that, we just laugh and cut up and have a good time. And then at the 8:30 hour, we always take a caller in. We try to get somebody, pretty famous. And we've had some cool people. I've got actually Kyle Petty. You was talking about racing. Kyle Petty's going to be calling in here in a day or two. I got him coming on. And John Reap. Do you remember John Reap? He was the guy that was on the commercial. He's a comedian. I love comedians. Hey, man, that thing's got a Hemi. I don't know if you remember him. Yeah.
Okay. I was like, the name was tickling memory. I couldn't figure it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And then we got, Reno Collier. I love him. He's a lot of fun. He was another comedian. It's pretty cool. And then just like, I don't know if you remember the Atlanta Rhythm section while you're down here, but Rodney Justo, he called in the other day. He's the lead singer for that. And then I get songwriters because I'm tied in with the music thing. So I get a lot of people from that industry. Actually had Beth Nelson Chapman on. I don't know if you know her or not, but she's wrote a lot of songs. She wrote some for Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings. She's wrote for, she's just wrote songs after songs. She's a lot of fun to interview. And we had her on, and she talks about the songwriters. Of course, Paul Thorne, he calls in all the time. He's a lot of fun. You remember Mother's Finest?
Yes.
Yeah. I had Joyce call in. She's a neat lady. She's the lead singer for the Mother's Finest. Love Mother's Finest. And so we just try to touch on a little bit of everybody that we can, and just kind of 15 minutes. And I know 15 minutes, wow, just 15 minutes, but then it's live radio. That's a long time.
Is it really?
Yeah.
For me, I think 15 minutes is like, wow, it's already gone by, right? Like you and I have already been talking almost a half hour, and we're just rolling with it. So I can imagine on radio.
It's quick, man. It's quick, but we get it out there, and they got their story to tell, and we laugh and go to the next thing. It's just it's pretty fast paced for an hour. We get a lot in an hour. But now the thing we do though, I get a lot of these people to call back, and do more interviews because that's the thing about radio. The more that they're on, the more the listeners. And I know who I've got listening, so I actually know I've got an audience. because we had the Nelson ratings. But then they get used to these people, and then they start kind of feeling like they know them, and then they start checking them out. And like Gary Chapman, he's like a heck of a songwriter, but he's Christian, and he sells. We make fun of him because he sells that DBD or BD. What is that oil they do? The DBD oil.
Oh, the CBD oil.
CBD oil. Yeah, I always get it mixed up with a Charlie Daniels band, but I said I don't know. So I told him, I said, I don't know about a big famous songwriter selling dope, man. But anyway, he sold a lot down here, but just because of the show, but we've had some neat people on. We really had, and I like to hear the story. I've had James Garner. I had his daughter on. James Garner passed away, but I've had her on a couple of times. Gigi Garner, she's been on, and some actresses and stuff, and actually become friends with a lot of them.
Nice.
They like coming back on.
It sounds like a blast. Is this like it's a drive time show? That 8, 9?
It is a drive time show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're definitely got we'll call it a captive audience, but right. I think the pace probably helps them with their crews to work for sure.
And, a lot of folks around the area has got my cell phone, and I call it the teletype machine. But while I'm on the radio, they're sending me text messages right and left, because I know they're listening, but I call it the teletype machine. And sometimes it's pretty cool what they get coming in, But like I said, I try not to I never have took anything serious,
Sure.
And just kind of go on. Of course, we're in a serious time. I don't know who and what they stand with what's going on right now, but with the gas prices going to where they're at, and and they're talking about raising the minimum wage. I don't know how you feel about that, but if they do to $15 an hour, then gas is going to $5 a gallon. So you really didn't get anything. You know
right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like the all ships are going to go up together. So yeah, you're not going to get much out of it. The price of milk and bread and everything's going to go up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, heck, if I think about it right now, people are struggling, and I'm talking about companies, to deliver their goods because so many truck drivers are staying home because they can get unemployment and make more money that way. So why go to work?
Right.
Which is making all the transportation rates go up.
Well, it's just like fast food or anything. Everywhere I look around this area, it's like help wanted. And we've got a couple of fast food restaurants. They close, about 6 o'clock because they can't stay open. And, we got the Huddle House and they're 24 hours. Ours close at 8 o'clock. So,
oh, damn.
You better get up there for our 24-hour is over with. But
that's crazy.
I don't know where it's going, man. I'm like you. I've always worked. I started working when I was about 12 years old, pumping gas for a Friendship store. And I was the gas attendant. I'd go out and pump the gas for the cars, check their air and the tires and, that kind of stuff. And, but them days are over with, it's just like, Walmart come in and shut down the little guy.
I feel you. My dad was in the service, and like I mentioned earlier, and when I was 14, we were stationed over in Germany, and my mom worked on base at, one of the cafeterias, right? And the guy who owned the cafeteria was opening up this little, I'm going to call it a hot dog hut. And it was going to open, he was opening it like right in front of the PX, which is where all the military guys go to shop for their sundries, right? Mm-hmm. And so it was a high traffic area, and the thing got built and everything, and the stuff got put in there. And it was during the summertime, and I was sitting at the cafeteria with my mom, and she was talking with the guy, and he was like, I got to find someone to go clean the thing up and get everything all set up. And I walked over to him, I said, look, I'll do it. He goes, well, how much do you want? And I said, nothing. And he goes, oh, you can't do it for nothing. You go over there, you do a good job. We'll figure out what to pay. And, I spent the afternoon just, setting everything. My dad was a cook, a chef, right? And my mom worked in the industry. So I knew where everything went, and I knew what it should look like, and the whole 9 yards. It was like, whatever, this is cake to me. And I got it all set up, and I don't know, about 4 hours of work. And the guy came over, he says, do you want to open the shop? Everything was like, this is perfect. Yeah. And I worked there for a couple of days. And then, he came over and says, I can't keep you working here because I'm going to get in trouble. You're only 14. But he paid me well for my time. And it was that feeling you get when you have a good day's work, right? You're like, damn, I got some shit done. I feel good about myself. Now, mind you, you're tired as hell when the day's done. You fall your head on the pillow and you're like gone.
Well, I took the money that I made pumping gas and bought my first car when I got 16 years old. And I mean, I ain't never been more proud of a car. I still own the thing. I still got it, if that tells you anything.
Damn.
So, yeah, I still got the old thing sets up there. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just, my grandmother was a first visiting school teacher in Towns County. And she always told me you can help someone who will help themselves, but you can't help someone who won't. And I've always took that to heart. And, somebody that needs a helping hand, I don't mind. But, some people that they're just out for a handout, I'm all against. And I can't do anything like that. But, somebody like you or me that's actually got there working, they're kind of down on their luck, probably ain't going to ask for help. And that's another problem that you run into. Somebody that actually really needs it don't even ask for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
that's a tough one.
Yeah. And I'm sure you have too. I've helped people without them knowing. I still do. I feel it ain't nobody's business. I do what I can to help.
Absolutely.
Especially kids, because that's something else that I do this time. I'm actually a full-time school bus driver.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Now I'm going to tell you something. I know there's a lot of tough guys out there and they're probably listening. I guarantee they probably got more tattoos than Carter's got liver pills. But son, when you get on a school bus with a bunch of kids, you become very small, very quick. I guarantee it, man. They'll run you down, man.
Run you over, yeah.
But you fall in love with these little fellas, and it's, sometimes it's almost heartbreaking when you have somebody that just can barely get on your bus, and then it seems like 2 days later they're graduating high school, grown up and become young men and women. But yeah, it's a rewarding thing. But I've done that for a long time. But I've seen a lot of the broken homes because of drugs and stuff like that. That really kind of you just want to scream. It's sad. And it's drugs, and they can say what they want to. Drugs don't care who you are. Nope. They don't care. And once you get on them, it's over with.
Yeah.
And it's but done a lot of stuff. But these kids really, they've got a lot on their plate than what we did growing up.
Yeah, and then they got everything else that's going on right now, right? Or the stuff that's been going on for the past year, hyped on top of that, and the digital landscape and social media. Oh my God, I can't even imagine what we have to deal with, right? Oh, what station am I going to listen to now to hear my favorite song?
Yeah,
and what time is my buddy getting up out of bed so we can go ride bikes or shoot rocks or whatever?
Yeah. It's crazy time, man. It's a crazy time. But now your dad was in the military. What did he do?
My dad, like I said, he was a cook. He got out and he was equivalent in the civilian world as a chef. 23 years. That's what he did the whole time. He was just, it's funny is I say, if you picture a sergeant in the Army, probably the picture you get in your head was my dad. He was that big 6'3" man of a man, right? But he looked like the lion, but he was the big loving heart bear, knew everybody.
Yeah.
He was a networker. He taught me about, social skills and the value of having the right friends in the right places and, not to use them, but certainly, service, to be of service to them so that when, karma comes around, they'll be of service to you. And it's a lesson I've kept to heart for a long time.
Yeah, I guarantee it, man. Friends are very important. Friends and family, no doubt.
Amen.
Yeah.
All right. I want to be mindful of your time. We've just been sitting here just chitty-chatting.
You ain't bothering me. You ain't
enjoying the shit out of this. I did want to chat a little bit about one of the things I put on my intake form for anyone who doesn't know is what is one of your number one goals over the next year or whatever. And my man Steven puts down playing in the Grand Ole Opry. How cool would that be, right?
That is my destination. If I can ever do that, I'll hang my guitar up. But I'm telling you, man, I would love to play the Grand Ole Opry just one time because, I'm a music nut. I love the music. And then after and a lot of times, just like Beth Nelson Chapman, you find the music and then you find out who actually wrote the song and you fall in love with it. But music's always been my outlet ever since I was little. My mother played the piano when I was a kid in church. And so I fell in love with music then, I guess. And it's just been one thing. I started a band, me and my brother did back, I guess I was 19, 20 years old and played music ever since. And we played some big places. We played some very small places. But I just think the Grand Ole Opry would be the place to play. And I'm working for it. If COVID hadn't slowed everybody down, I might have been there by now, but I don't know.
Damn.
We'll see what happens. But
well, I definitely guarantee you're gonna have to let me know if you make it there. I will probably pack up my family and drive my ass down there just to check you out. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I guarantee it. I will tell everybody. That's going to be my bragging rights right there. I've really got some good songs, but I've got a song that one of my favorites called "Everybody Dies, Not Everybody Lives," and you can Google it. I'm on YouTube and all that, but it's called Stephen Phillips and Midnight Express, which is a very cool song. It's about people that actually get out and live their lives instead of just letting their lives pass them by. And then I got another song called Lightning Road, which is a cool tune about an old moonshiner here in this area. And it gets a lot of play on, Pandora and all that kind of stuff. But I've got some good stuff. And the last thing I wrote was it's called Burning Bridges. Let them burn, which is a kind of a rocking tune, but it's a good deal. But no, I don't know. I think it'd be cool to play the Grand Ole Opry where all the, the heroes that I've always listened to.
All the icons, even the rock and rollers of the 60s and probably the early 70s, I think cut their teeth on the Grand Ole Opry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I don't even think they say, well, they don't pay you but $50. I said, I'd pay them to play.
Who cares?
Yeah, right? I'd play them. And I'd like to play every now and then they open the actual Grand Ole Opry, the old one. That would be the place to actually get to play, But it's, man, music's changed so much. It's like Alan Jackson's got a new album out. They won't even play him on the radio, so, but I ain't gonna give up, man. I'll never give up. That's something I've always done. I don't know about you, but I've always kind of set goals and I work towards that. Then when I get to that point, I'll try to work to another goal. And seems like it just, I guess a creature of opportunity, but something opens up, I go for it. I don't care. I mean, I always, just like these interviews I've been doing, it just kind of happened. And now it's just, I do a show every morning with a different guest. So you can imagine that I've constantly got people, and it's a lot of work. And, sometimes I'm like, man, this is just too much work, but it's too much fun. And, that's the thing about it. I'm enjoying myself. I'm having a ball, what is his name? Murph Nutter. Nutter, I guess is his name. Was a big deal back in the day. He was an actor and wrote songs and everything else. He called me up when I was on the road and we talked for an hour and a half, him telling me all these old stories about coming up and growing up and playing music and all that kind of stuff. And it's interesting to me, to have people like that call a trashy redneck from Hiawassee, Georgia and want to sit and talk, but it's pretty interesting. It's a lot of fun, but maybe we'll make it. I don't know.
Hey, you keep going for it. I bet you will. That's one of the things. And when you talk about setting goals, man, you're talking to Mr. Goal Setter here. I'm always on the microphone here preaching about the benefits of goal setting. So hearing it come from other folks, even the trashy redneck from Hiawassee, Georgia, right?
Yeah. I've always, that's like the interviews. When I started doing the interview, my goal was to get John Snyder on. That's who I was wanting to get on. I was wanting to get John Snyder on.
That's Dukes of Hazzard, right?
Dukes of Hazzard. Yep. John Snyder. So now, but I've actually had him on 3 or 4 times. And so,
that's awesome.
So I've got his phone number, which he won't ask me much, but anyway, he comes back and gets on the show a little bit.
Didn't you have Daisy on recently?
Yes, I did. I had Daisy Duke on there yesterday, and that kind of just happened from a friend of mine that actually knew her. And she's a sweet girl. She really is.
Nice.
And she's a sweet lady, but she was a good interview. And she's out there in California, so we had to pre-record that. But I had Daisy Duke on. And my favorite was Angel Martin from Rockford Files. I love that Stuart Mongolin. He is a great guy. But and then I guess another one that, I'm a big Burt Reynolds fan, like everybody from the South is. His first movie he ever had was called White Lightning.
I saw it, man. Loved it.
Yeah,
oh my God.
I loved it. So anyway, the song at the very end of that, where they're actually at the funeral procession, is called Way Down Under. Mm-hmm. And me being a musician, I fell in love with that when and it wasn't but a minute and 20 seconds long. So I got the rights to that song and cut it. I cut that song. We made it into about a 3-minute, little over 3.5 minute, probably 3:10 or something like that minute song, and recut it. I actually had Barney Robertson, which was a keyboardist for Waylon Jennings, and then his wife done the backup singing on it. And it's on YouTube. And the guy that wrote that song, that done the score for that, it was called, what is his name? Hold on a minute, I'll tell you. Charles Bernstein. Charles Bernstein wrote the score. First movie he ever wrote the score for. He put all the music in that, and that was his song. And he actually sent me an email thanking me for cutting that song. Said it's the first time a song like that's ever been cut that he's ever wrote for a movie score. And he done Cujo. He done all these different movies over the years. Yeah, big deal. And so anyway, I got him to come on the show. He come on the show. Sweet guy. Of course, nowadays it's a little different movie scores is. Sure. But anyway, he sent me, he signed a CD, which was from the movie soundtrack, and sent it to me. He sent us the signed soundtrack from the White Lightning movie, and I got it hanging on my wall back here. Nice. And so I sent him moonshine. I sent him some good old Georgia moonshine. So he said he thought he was the only one in Southern California that had good Georgia moonshine.
I bet he was at that point.
But anyway, I like.
Oh, that's awesome, Steve. I'm probably have to give you a call up at the radio station one day, maybe drop some knowledge on you and get you to make fun of me. I'm good with that.
I would love to, man. We'll get you. I'd love to have you, man. You'd love it. Like I said, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Shoot for it. But now you're a goal setter. You do goals?
Oh my God. I have a whole goal setting system that I share with folks all the time. And I'm a big fan. It's funny is I wrote the original version of it back in the 90s, shortly after my second daughter had passed away, because I had to focus on something that was going to keep me from falling back into former bad habits of, drugs and alcohol. Right. And so I threw myself into personal development and goal setting. Maybe it's my military background, right? My dad being in the military all those years. I joined the service for 6 years right out of high school. So, I sat down and I wrote the forms and I wrote the little, I'll call it a booklet that goes with it, and yeah, it didn't make me rich or anything, but it certainly gave me focus. It made me realize this stuff helps people, right? Because I was using it and it was working. I mean, I got 5 promotions in 3 years at Coca-Cola during this same time frame, because if you work the system works for you, right? Right. So I'm a big believer in goal setting.
Well, I'm sorry that you lost your daughter, man. I hate to hear that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a tough one, to be sure.
Yep. I cannot imagine going through that. I have a daughter myself. But yeah, I'm with you on the goal setting. And Coca-Cola is a big deal, man. I mean, especially in the South, Yeah, Coca-Cola is a big deal. And so that's cool. I'll have to get some. So where do I get this at if I wanted a copy of this?
I can shoot you over one. Absolutely. I don't have it up on the website right now because I'm actually doing a revamp of it, but I can send you the original. And then when the revamp comes out, I'll shoot you the fresh version too.
Oh, there you go. That'd be good. I'd love to have it. Yeah, we'll get you on the show one morning. So I'd like to read that. But I think goal setting is a thing though. And it's hard work though. People, I don't care what they say. People ain't going to hand you nothing. And if they can get ahead of you, they will. I guarantee it.
And if they can take it from you, they will.
Oh yeah. I've never tried to hurt anybody. I'm not the kind of person that, some people don't like to see people succeed. I've never been like that. If I've got people that, they get a leg up and I'm like, man, good for you. Good for you. Cause I know how hard it is. Amen. Yep, I know how hard it is. That's like your podcast, man. You've got a lot of listeners on your podcast. You're like one of the top rated ones in the country, right?
I'm doing pretty good. I was able to hit number 21 in entrepreneurship, which is, let me tell you, they're biting and scratching in that area. But it's a long game, right? You just don't pick up a microphone and say, I'm going to do this, man. You gotta put in the work. Like you were saying, it's fun. Right. But it's work, right? You got to get up and you got to talk to people and you got to engage and you got to make all the right moves and yeah, absolutely.
Well, congratulations on that, man. I guarantee.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Now, on my interviews that I do, I normally don't upload the whole show, but on my interviews on YouTube, I've got all my interviews on. It's called Stephen Phillips with the Morning Dish. So all the interviews I've done with all the people, I always upload the interview. That's good. And there's some cool stuff on there. There really are some cool stuff and cool people on there. And then I've got the Facebook. Everybody's got Facebook, the Morning Dish. I'm trying to figure out Instagram. I hadn't figured that out yet. I'm too old for Instagram, but I'm trying my best. I seen some of my buddies on there. I thought, well, if they can do it, I can do it. So
right, I hear you. Yeah. And it seems the minute you get one under control, another one pops up. You're like, oh my God, where did that one come from?
Yeah.
All right, Stephen, if folks want to learn more about the Trashiest Man and your cool ass accent and your music, where do we want to send them to?
You want to send them to the best thing to do is go to the Morning Dish. You can pretty much type that in YouTube. YouTube is Stephen Phillips at the Morning Dish. Then we're on Lake 97.7, and that's WJULradio.com, WJULradio.com online. And you can listen online every morning we come on at 8 to 9 every morning. You can listen online for that. And of course, I've got Facebook, The Morning Dish, and then with my music, it's Stephen Phillips and Midnight Express. But it's like anything else, Google always takes you where you want to go.
That's right.
Yeah. And one good thing about it, if you're listening and you're close enough, we're always giving away tickets because we've got like Dwight Yoakam coming to town. We've been giving away some tickets for that. And
nice.
We give away all kinds. We give away golfing tickets at Basstown Valley Resort, which is a big, super nice resort with a golf course like you would not believe. So, we give a lot of giveaways and stuff like that. So you can get that. And then you can have a lot of fun too. Yep. Have a lot of fun. But just Stephen Phillips and with the Morning Dish, it's easy to find. And I'd love to have y'all call in and win something.
All right. I'm going to share those those links are all down there in the show notes. So people can just click on through and check out Stephen Phillips and the Morning Dish and everything he's got going on. Steve, thanks so much for coming and hanging out, man.
Hey, I've been a pleasure, man. I guarantee it.
All right, there you have it, my Dark Horse friends and family. Stephen Phillips dropping trashy radio bombs on us. I couldn't. I couldn't resist it, right? What thoughts, other than trashy radio bombs, did you come away with? Let me share a couple that seemed to resonate with me as I was listening to this. Thought number one. Jumping out of windows. Stephen shared how back in his kindergarten days, his teacher was telling the class that it was time for recess. This was back in the day, as he mentioned, before AC and those non-opening windows. And the fun and adventure of recess was right on the other side of that window. So what'd Steve do? He took the shortest route possible to what he wanted, and he went out the window, of course, and just jumped right on out there. Now, how is it that when we are young, it's so easy to not just see what we want, but to go after it directly by any means necessary, even going through a window if that's what it takes? And how do we get that childlike desire to have what our heart wants back? I want to chat a bit more about this in episode 252. Go after what you want like a kid. Thought number two, it's a journey, y'all. All right, Stephen shared his journey, his entrepreneurial and otherwise journey from struggling student to mechanic to NASCAR, right, to repo man, to car sales, to trash man, and even DJ. Now, while listening to his awesome story, he shared a couple of things. Well, I guess what I should say is, as he shared his story, a couple of things seemed to click with me. One, he didn't share any part of it as if it was a bad thing or as if he wished it didn't happen. It was his life, and he has lived it, and he's learned from it every step of the way. That's my humble opinion. Now, we can all learn from that particular point of view, especially when you step onto the path of being an entrepreneur or a business person. It is a journey, and we have stages that we have to go through. And I want to share with you those stages of the entrepreneurial journey in episode 253, the stages to entrepreneurial success. Let's learn together. Yeah. Thought number three. Stop being one-sided. As I was chatting with Stephen and listening to his awesome story, I was reminded that so many times we share the good side. That one side that we want to present to the world. For some, it's the fact that they finally made it. For others, is they have a family. They've built a relationship. That one side that shows that they are a success at least one thing. Meanwhile, folks like Stephen, they're just doing it, right? They're sharing more than just that one side. I think it was probably that NASCAR story that he shared that drove this home for me. Where all the cameras were on him and the driver was like, yeah, we got a little loose back there in turn number 3, but I managed to pull her out. But the moment those cameras were off, the real side was more like, you know what, that some gun, I want to go whoop his ass. You see, all sides are real and we should share them as real. I want to dig a little bit more in this sharing factor in the Dark Horse Facebook group this week. Come on over and have a listen as we get real. And thought number 4, why so serious? Now, Steve was sharing about his show and remind us there are certainly so many serious things that are going on in the world, right? And it's true. And not just today, but perhaps I think all the time. Let me back up. I think at the time of recording this podcast here in October 2021, things are a little more exaggerated. Maybe we always say that, whatever time we're going through, right? But for me, across my 50 plus years on this big blue spinning globe, there have always been something serious going on. And I think most likely there will always be something serious, something important, something to fear even. Remember, those that want your attention, or maybe even want to divert your attention, they can rattle those somethings to enhance your fears. So you and I and everyone need to learn to have fun with our fears so that we can prosper on whatever path we choose for our lives, whatever it may be, entrepreneurial or not, right? So I want to share with you a bit more on this topic in the Dark Horse Entrepreneur Facebook group as we talk about having fun with your fears. All right, what inspiring tips or thoughts resonated with you? Whatever they were, take some time today and write them down. Seriously, write them down, put pen to paper, turn them into a thought, from a thought to your head into a real thing on that piece of paper. And then put them into action. Get out there, run your race, get your results, and email me. I want to hear about it. Tracy@darkhorseschooling.com. Share the tips or ideas that you came away with, how you put them into action, and what results you gain for them. Good results, bad results, mediocre results, who cares? I want to hear your story. Heck, probably even bring you on so you can share your story with the audience as well. Now I know you want to keep getting all these valuable tips and amazing stories from the guests I'm lucky enough to bring on. So please go on down there, hit that subscribe button. While you're there, yep, that's right. Leave us a 5-star rating. Heck, leave us a 4-star rating if that's what you feel like. But I really think you want to leave us a 5-star rating. And then write us a quick review, right? It is those subscribes, ratings, and reviews that are your way of telling all the podcast platforms out there that you are getting some value, even if it's just a quick giggle of a value, but you're getting that value. So please go down there, hit that subscribe, drop that rating, drop those reviews, and help share the love. And with that, I'm going to leave you as I always do. Think successfully and take action.
Thank you for listening to the Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast.
And you know this!
Thanks for tuning in.
Check us out at www.darkhorseschooling.com.
All right.
My name is Tracy Brinkman.